What's going on, guys? It's Aston Edmonds with Health and Wellness, and today we're going to be talking about how to improve your bench press arch. Now, by improving our bench press arch, we're going to do a couple things. One, it's going to shorten the range of motion, the distance the bar has to travel. It's going to put our shoulders in a better, much less risky position. A lot of people suffer rotator cuff injuries from bench pressing. This is going to help reduce that risk for injury. Plus, it's going to put our bodies in a better position to utilize our chest muscles. So think of the difference that you have on decline bench compared to flat bench. You're much stronger in a decline bench. So the more we can get closer to that decline bench, the stronger we can make our bench press. So like all my informational videos, we're gonna start off with the most basic, well-known tips and then work our way into ones that I think are more unique but have helped me the most. So the first thing that everybody says when increasing your bench press arch is just get a more flexible back. And so the way you can do this is, just by doing some simple back stretches, doing some lower lumbar mobility exercises, foam rolling your back. All these are going to be very useful in developing that lower back flexibility. But the thing that I have found most useful is actually practicing that back flexibility while completing the movement. So most of us, if you're watching this, you probably can't get a very big arch on your own. So what we're gonna do is use a little bit of help with a foam roller. So what we're gonna do is use a foam roller and we're gonna place it where we want our arch, and it's basically putting in an artificial arch. That way we can get used to bench pressing in that arched position. So you just place it on the bench, lay down, and then create your arch around it. If the foam roller is too big and you can't get in that arch position, I would start with something smaller, a small pillow or a noodle or a football, something just to create that space. And as you develop the flexibility and the technique, you can increase the size of the object, thus increasing your bench press arch. All right, now it's time to talk about, in my opinion, one of the most important things when it comes to using a big arch in a bench press, and that's going to be hip flexibility and hip mobility. A lot of people have very flexible backs. They can arch their back a lot. They can get their back in the proper position, but they still can't bench press with an arch, and that's because it's actually their hips that is the limiting factor. So as we're bench pressing with an arch, you're gonna notice my back is fully hyperextended, but also my hips are hyperextended. So if you have tight hip flexors that are pulling you forward, you're not gonna be able to fully open up and extend. So oftentimes that is the limiting factor. And I found that if I stretch my hip flexors prior to bench pressing, I get a much better arch and a much stronger bench press. This is my favorite hip flexor stretch specifically for the bench press arch, and it's very convenient because you need a bench to do it, so you can do it in between your warm-up sets for bench press. So basically, you just get into a Bulgarian split squat, so put your rear foot up and put your front foot forwards and then sink down into that stretch. And what I like to do is actually arch my back. That way I can feel the stretch all the way up as I would feel it while bench pressing in this position. I like to hold the stretch for about 30 seconds and do a couple sets, 30 seconds per side in between my warm-up sets for bench press. Alright, so quick recap. In my opinion, the two things that are going to help the most is going to be practicing the bench press with an artificial arch using something under your lower back, such as a foam roller. And then the second one is going to be stretching out your hip flexors. So I hope these tips helped, but the most important thing is going to be to practice these things consistently. If you just do them once, it's not going to help. But if you do them every day, you're going to have a huge bench press arch in no time and be pressing more weight than you ever have before. If this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up rating. Also share it with your friends who might need some help on this as well. But until next time, thank you guys for watching and have a great day.